Hi guys, happy Monday. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I'm back with you to finish section 6.2. We're going to solve trig equations. We're going to do more by factoring. So we still have to remember a few things from long ago. Okay, so I'm going to try to just do some problems so that you'll be prepared to do some homework for tonight, okay? Or for today, whenever you're doing this. So we're going to start with tan squared x plus tan x minus 2 equals 0. Okay? This one I'm going to do over the interval from 0 degrees to 360 degrees. I don't want to do ones that can be a little tricky with our pi's, our radians. So we're going to start with this one. Question is, can you factor it? Okay, so I'm going to go over to my thought bubble and take x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. Are there any factors of 2 that subtract to get a positive 1? I hope everybody said 2 minus 1, 2 and 1, right? So this would factor into x times x is x squared. 2 times 1 is 2. One of these needs to be positive, one of them needs to be negative. My bigger number has to be positive because I need to end with a positive 1x in the middle. Okay? So this is how I would factor x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. Correct? I know we've all kind of forgotten about factoring. So could I tell you, you could use the quadratic formula. I'm always okay if you want to do that. If you remember, okay? There's a song. I know you weren't in the class, but maybe you've heard it. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? That would get you also to the answers, to the solutions for what x equals. Okay? In this case, your x, all of your x's are representing tangent of x. Okay? So this, in both of these cases, if you plugged in negative 1, because my b is 1, plus or minus 1, the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 2, all over 2 times 1, you would get 1 plus or minus the square root of what's 1 minus a negative 8, which would be a positive 9. Okay? Yeah, Ray, I hope knows the square root of 9 is 3. So negative 1 plus 3 is 2 over 2, which gives me an answer of x equals 1. Look at that. It's the exact same thing as if I had factored it. Okay? Down here, if I put negative 1 minus 3. Okay? Negative 1 minus 3. Oh, I believe it's a negative. Negative 1 minus, oh, I got to add the opposite. It's a negative 4. Sorry. I had a blonde moment for a second. Negative 4, not any kind of knock on any blondes. Just had a forgetful moment. Negative 1 minus negative 3 gives me a negative 4 over 2. So x equals negative 2. Okay, so that gives me my x equals. So I'm going to go back over here and do my factoring with tangent. Tangent x plus 2 times tangent x minus 1 equals 0. Okay, that's where we started from last week. I think where we ended last week. We were dealing with these. Then we would set each one of these, tan x plus 2 equals 0, and tan x minus 1 equals 0. And we would solve, right? Tan x, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Tangent equals negative 2. Or tan x equals 1. Okay, so that was my x equals, right? Right here. Or you get them with the answer to your quadratics. X equals, or tan x equals. Now, only one of these I can think of a triangle being a 1 over a 1. I can't think of a triangle being a 2 over 1, but I probably could come up with it. But only one of these I know for sure. So I might go back to my handy dandy calculator. Okay? I'm going to look at this one because I'm pretty sure I know what this equals. Okay? Tan negative 1 of 1. So x equals tan negative 1. I'm in degree mode, I think, of 1. I get 45 degrees. And what did we say that answer was? It's our reference angle. Okay, but in this case, it would be one of our answers. I'm going to go ahead, since I've got it up here, I'm going to do negative tan. So here we go. X equals the inverse tan of negative 2. I'm going to plug in negative 2. And I get negative 63.47. Okay, so it doesn't come out exact. It's approximately 63.4 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to put my calculator away for just a second and say, I need all the solutions between 0 and 360. So this 45 and this 63 may just be my reference angles. Okay, so I'm going to look. In my first case, I'm going to kind of divide this down the line. I'm going to scroll up, if you don't mind, so that I can divide here. So I can work one and the other. It's basically two different problems. So my 45 degrees, where I have tan x equals 1, is 45 degrees. 1, 1. This is my reference angle. Okay? But is that the only spot? 45 degrees in the first quadrant, the only spot where tangent is positive? No, it's not. Because tangent is positive in the first quadrant with a reference angle of 45 degrees, but it's also positive in the third quadrant with a reference angle of 45 degrees. So my question is, what is this theta? Or the x? What is the angle? Okay, so I'm looking at my plate. 45 degrees in the third quadrant is 225 degrees. So that theta is 225 degrees. So 45 is an answer, but it's not the only answer. 225 degrees is also a value for x. Okay, so we have two answers for this section, tan x equals 1. Okay, going across to my other piece, tan x equals negative 2. Okay, and my calculator spit out the 63.4 degrees. At least I think it did, right? No, it was negative. I thought that didn't seem like it was right. Sorry. You saw it, I didn't. It's negative 63. So I'm like, that can't be right. All right, sorry. Going back, it's negative 63 degrees. But this 63 degrees, really, it gave me the answer this direction. Negative 63 degrees is where this is. But is that in my interval? No, it's not. That is a reference angle. Okay? So this right here is my reference angle. It's actually not one of my answers. Okay? I need to look at my graph and say, which quadrant is tan negative? Yep, you said it. It's in the second quadrant and the fourth quadrant. Okay, I need a reference angle of 63.4 degrees. The sad thing is, your plates don't help you out right now. You have to remember how to find a reference angle. Okay, we are always looking to our x-axis. What is this degree right here? All the way over here is 180 degrees. And all the way over here is 360 degrees. Those two numbers matter. Okay? That's what we're going to use. So to have a reference angle of 60 degrees, what is this theta here? We would say 180 minus 63.4. And that would be one of our answers. To find this reference angle, this theta, I would say 360 minus 63.4. That's going to be my other answer. So I need 180 minus 63.4. One of my answers is 116. I've got room to write it. 116.6 degrees for x equals, and 360 minus 63.4 degrees, or 296.6 degrees. There are my other two answers. We may have 4 answers. In this case, we do. Okay, so our answers are x equals 45 degrees, 225, 116.6 degrees, and 296.6 degrees. It wouldn't really be necessarily and, but or could equal any of those numbers. Okay? Whew, that seems like a lot. Let's try another one. Okay, first, we might need to factor. Can you solve 3 sine squared x minus sine x minus 2 equals 0? I'm going to give you over the interval from 0 to 360 degrees. Now, we got to remember how to factor. So, if you need to do your thought bubble, 3x squared minus x minus 2. How is that going to factor? Or go to the quadratic every time. The only thing that can give me 3x squared is 3x times x. The only thing that give me 2 is 1 times 2. It's just the question of where should it be? Should it be in the same? Should that 2 be in the same parentheses? Or should the 2 be in the opposite parentheses? Okay? So we're going to check. So I'm going to 3 times something and a 1 times something. And these have to be a 1 and a 2. And they must subtract to get a negative 1. Okay? I know you don't always factor the same way I do, but your inside and your outside of FOIL, that's what I'm doing. 3 times what? One of these is going to be a 2. If I put a 2 here, 3 times 2 is 6. That means a 1 will go here. 6 minus 1, is that going to give me negative 1? No, it is not. So what about if I did 3 times 1 as this one, my outside, and 1 times 2? I switch my 1 and my 2. Is 3 minus 2 equal to negative 1? Oh, it's equal to a positive 1. Ooh, could I simply change and say that 3 is negative and the 2 is positive? Yeah? Negative 3 minus 2, does that give me, plus 2, does that give me a negative 1? Yes. So my 3 times 1 must be a negative 3, so I put a negative 1 there. So 3 times negative 1 gives me my negative 3. 2, positive 2 times a positive 1 gives me my positive 2. And when I add them together, I get negative 1, which is the negative 1x in the middle. If all of that's way too confusing, use the quadratic formula. It works every time also. Okay? Promise. So here we go. I'm going backwards. Going back over here to say I need a 3 sine x plus 2 times 1 sine x minus 1. That is how that's going to factor. Okay? Maybe I need to give you guys some Khan Academy. We talked about that. I need to do it. On just how to factor stuff. Some of you may remember, you wouldn't have to do it. That's okay. Solving now for sine x. I would say 3 sine x plus 2 equals 0. I'm going to go ahead and draw my dividing line, and I'm going to have sine x minus 1 equals 0. I can already tell which one side is going to be a little easier to solve. Okay, if you want to go ahead and start there, do it. Sine x equals 1. Looking at my graph, you need to look back at 6.1, your graphs. Where is sine's output a positive 1? Or you can plug it in your calculator. It's 90 degrees. Okay, is that the only time? Yes, it is. It's the only one possible for this side. Okay, that side was super easy. Little hint, the next piece is not. So if we're solving, we have 3 sine x equals negative 2. I'm going to divide by 3, divide by 3. Sine x equals negative 2/3. Opposite over hypotenuse is 2 over 3. That's not any special right triangle. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. Inverse sine 2 divided, it's negative. I'm going to go ahead and put negative. Negative 2 divided by 3, so that it will give me a negative 41.8 degrees. Is that in my interval? No, it is not. But it is, negative 41.8 degrees. So that is my reference angle. What your calculator is going to give you will give you a reference angle. You have to go and do what? Draw your graph. Where is sine negative? Sine is negative in the third quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. My reference angle is this 41.8 degrees on both sides. Okay? So how do we get what this theta is and this theta is? Okay? How do we get that? Well, this we have to remember still from the last example. Reference angles always go up to the x-axis, so 180 and 360 are very important. Okay? But this time, we didn't subtract, we didn't go up, we need to add 180 plus 41.8. So what is 180 plus 41.8? 221. So my first theta is 221.8 degrees. Okay, this one over here. So I'm going down from 360. So I'm still going to subtract 360 minus 41.8. And I'm going to get 318. 318.2 degrees. So x could equal, I put a theta, I'm sorry. X could equal any of these three numbers. Okay? The last problem we did, it had 4 solutions. Ms. Evans, am I ever going to know how many it's going to have? Not necessarily. Okay? In general, it's going to have either 1, 2, 3, or 4. This one has 3. When we end with a 0 or 90, sometimes it'll have 3. Okay? One of them may only have 1 solution, one of the parts. Okay? I'm never going to ask you to do one of those in radians. It's not fun. I won't make you do that. All right? So, they do one where you have to use the quadratic. It doesn't matter. I don't think I'm going to make you do that one. No, we are good. We're just going to stop that one a little bit short, and I'm going to give you a few extra problems to work on. Okay? Feel free, maybe we talk a little bit more when you're working out these problems. Okay? So let me know where you're having problems. Go back and look at your problems from Thursday, Friday, from when we started 6.2. Okay? 6.2 problems. All right, we're going to do numbers 11 through 14, 18 through 20, and 23 through 26. Okay, happy Monday. Have a great rest of your day. We probably won't have a new video tomorrow. Actually, this is probably all we're going to do based on these. We don't even need the rest of this chapter. This is all we're going to do with chapter 6. So, go ahead after these problems. We'll start looking at solutions and looking at different things to have a quiz, possibly even just a chapter 6 test over 6.1 and 6.2. I may give you a quiz, a very short, just a few problems, and then have a little bit bigger of a test later this week. So that's kind of what our week is looking like. I'll put more of this on RenWeb and on our classroom page. I'll talk to you later. Have a good rest of your day. Bye. Oh, wait, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on my page. You're awesome.